amazing human being. I'm not even sure if that term fits because I
Yeah, me
really,
either.
yeah, I see you as a star seed. Um,
Um, I've seen some odd things that have just like the blue light coming down over my grandson, and I just wonder what is this all about?
yeah,
Well, you're able to see, the different frequencies, that are going on, and they're going on all the time. They're right here with us, but a lot of people don't
Hmm.
see it.
yeah. Now,
It's like when
Nancy, I
like
know that you
go
have
ahead.
you've done some public speaking. Um, you spoke for MUFON. You've been on
Hmm.
some shows, but some people who our viewers are going to say, "Wow, her voice sounds so familiar," and that's because you have been one of the people who've been regressed. So, how many times by Mary?
Mm, five, maybe
Oh,
something
wow.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because your experiences are really lifelong.
Yep. I don't ever remember a time when there weren't things going on, and um, my belief growing up was well, when I got old enough to have a belief about it, was, well,
Right.
it's something paranormal, or maybe I'm just weird and I'm imagining things. I did not associate it with aliens or UFOs, or um, and really, I guess looking back on it, I should have put that together sooner, but that it's all one thing.
Yeah. Paranormal is paranormal. Anything that's not normal, right? It's paranormal.
Hmm. Right.
And
And that I think that we're seeing that in all the fields now, that the ghosts and the cryptids and the UFOs are all coming together. They realize they're all connected. And
Right.
Ronnie LeBlanc is talking about this a lot, and everybody else is too. And it's weird because in the past they would not talk to each other, and they would not, associate with each other because, oh, that's that and that's this. Well, now they're
It,
finding out that it's connected.
everything was in a different compartment. Nobody was
Right,
sharing information,
right,
right.
and it took a really long time for people to figure out, oh, the same people who are having experiencer situations then start to have all sorts of other things happen
right.
in precognition and uh, you know, all just name it right across the gamut.
Right. Right.
Well, I'm thoroughly convinced that they're interested in people that have cognitive or abilities. So, and I believe this for a long, long time, and I think people like you guys and myself. That's why we've had experiences, because they're interested in that, and it's an easy way for them to communicate with us.
Yeah, it only makes sense that if they communicate telepathically, then they're going to look for the people easiest to communicate to, and I guess that would be people who have a little bit of that ability.
Right,
Hmm.
right.
Yeah. That's so true. Often I wonder, though, what comes first, the ability or the contact? Do they contact us because we have abilities, or do we have abilities because they contact us?
No, I think
Yeah,
it's
I wonder that too.
Hmm.
I know that I wouldn't be the person I am. I wouldn't have thought about a lot of things. I wouldn't have searched out answers, and if this hadn't happened to me. So it definitely changed who I would have been. Um,
Right.
Do
yeah,
you
and I don't
think
know.
do you think that they make contact in hopes that you'll remember your gifts and remember the contact?
It kind of seems like they are trying to spur um, people to have more psychic ability, or you know, uh, they have to know that's a byproduct of contacting people. So I have to think that maybe that's what they want. Um, yeah, if I still have no idea what it is they want, but
well, I think they just want us to realize that we're a part of this grand universe, multiverse,
Mhm.
and that you know that and that we don't have to keep being stuck here, and that we can go out there and be a part of that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think people, need to stop concentrating so hard on, are the UFOs real? Are
right.
the aliens physically here? And and start thinking about why. Why are they doing this?
Okay.
What are they trying to teach us? What is their goal?
Lost connection.
Yeah, there, and I think it is like, I think some have negative intentions, just like humans. But I think a big part of it as a collective is to raise our consciousness so that we start to live in that 5D, right? And
Mhm.
because like for ascension and raising your vibration for the collective, it really isn't all about going to a new earth. It's just raising our vibration within. And I
Saving
think that's
distance.
why some contact happens. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've definitely gone from they've all came in spaceships from another planet to I would guess that if any of them come here in spaceships from another planet, that most of them don't, that they're coming from inner space or another dimension or something we don't understand. But uh, we've been for all these years trying to figure out, well, how could we possibly carry enough fuel to, fly all the way to another star system when that was never even what they needed to figure out? They needed to
Right.
figure out how do we get into this other dimension or see into this other dimension.
Yeah, how do we open wormholes and stargates, and how do we travel through black holes and all
Yeah.
that kind of thing? And how do we manipulate time and space to eliminate it and just be there? Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. The fuel thing is, yeah, I mean,
Right.
yeah,
They're I think that's behind in thinking. It's something we don't boy, we're having problems today. I bet it's the heat.
I think it is. Oh, so talking about the paranormal, do you want to share one of your stories, Nancy? Because that always fascinates me. When you came to me for, I don't know if you remember this, but it was for the one regression, and you just wanted to explore a paranormal experience from when you were a child. Because I think
Mhm.
that story is a really good example of how the paranormal actually does intermingle right into the extraterrestrial connection. Do you
Well,
remember which one I'm talking about?
no, you'll have to remind me.
I think it was you. You were like 12 years old and you were home at night because your mom worked and you were watching TV and you heard like a bang. Okay, I see you shaking your head.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
go.
that's why yeah, that's why that new documentary about experiencers was so triggering. Uh, yeah. So I was home alone. I was 9 or 10, and my mom worked nights. We lived out in the country in this old farmhouse, and I'm watching TV, and the TV starts and making just these awful noises, and I can't get it to stop. So I unplug the TV, but it keeps making the noises. And now this is like, I don't know, 1966 or something. There wasn't any electronic thing going on with that old TV to make it do that. So that started me getting frightened. And I backed up and I sat down in this chair that was against the front door of the house that went out onto a porch we didn't use. And I'm sitting there trying to think, what am I gonna do? This noise is just really creepy. And the door in the hallway that goes to the basement, which does not have an exterior door, starts to open. And I'm like, oh my God. And I run and I put a kitchen chair in the hallway and because to stop the door just keeps slamming into this chair over and over. And I'm just petrified. And I back up and I sit down in this big chair. It's the middle of the night. I'm all alone out in the country. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And then the chair that I was sitting in, the door behind that started to push open and push the chair across the floor. So I ran out the back door, and what I always consciously remembered here was going down to my aunt's and coming inside and laying on the floor and going to sleep. But when I was hypnotized, I remembered that when I ran outside, a light hit me and I was taken up in the ship. And I was unaware of that part of it. I remembered the, all the scary stuff leading up to it. So I don't know. I if they were trying to scare me to see my reaction, there have been several times in my life when really strange things have happened. And looking back on it now, I think that they were watching to see how I reacted. Oh, I don't know why, but there was another incident when there was what looked like a lost in space robot in my driveway. And I felt like that's what it was doing. It was looking in through the sliding glass doors and watching us. And you're, like, what are they going to do when they notice me out here? So I don't know if that's training or they're just trying to learn something about people in general or me in particular. But it seems that has happened multiple times where they've done some just outlandish thing. It just seems kind of mean is what it seems like. It's, is it just indifference or I don't know.
Well, we've talked about it on the show that we've noticed through regressions that way back in the 60s and 70s, the experiences were a little more unfriendly, but they've learned to maybe change their ways or whatever.
It seems that they have gotten
the
later experiences I had were not as frightening as that. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you probably came to understand them a little better, as the time went on.
Yeah, not consciously, I think, but I know that from the regressions that after a while, I recognize certain ones. I don't know how you could recognize a certain one when they all look the same, but I did recognize certain ones when I would come up against them, and I wasn't afraid of them. I didn't necessarily like them, but I don't recall ever feeling afraid of them in a regression. When I'm just sitting here like this and I think, oh, geez, what if they come into my bedroom and they touch me? That bothers me.
Right.
But during the regressions, I don't think I've ever really been afraid of them. Except for when they chased my car. And I didn't really know what that was, but.
Right.
Yeah, so when I was a little kid, they were definitely more mean. They did, seems like shock value things occasionally.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that changed me, but I suspect it did.
Do you think maybe they come through like that with the shock value to see what you can handle or to see if you're ready for actually more interaction?
Yeah,
it just kind of seems scary because you're a kid.
No, I think it did change over time that it became they became less obnoxious, less like almost deliberately provoking, like that maybe they learned over time. I don't know. But yeah, I do think that it's a test to see how you react and if you'll panic, what you'll do, how you'll, and I don't know if that's because they're figuring out if they have some use for you later or they're just interested in what we do. I suspect that it's because they're figuring out what category to put you in if they ever need to activate people. I think they do something when they take you that they can activate you later. I feel like that's part of the whole thing. I'm not. It's yeah. I have no idea what for. I have suspicions of what for, and I think it's for what may be coming up pretty soon here, which is governments trying to twist the narrative to convince everyone that they're a threat, and so that they can militarize something, or for some dumb reason that people
Well,
who want to be in control do things.
I agree with you. They're trying to. Some people are trying to do that, but I think they're going to be outmatched by people like us that know, you know, that
You're right.
that's not true.
And I think that's what the visitors were doing. They were heading that off. Hopefully, you know, if enough people are going to be, who are not going to panic and not see it that way, and are going to see through what the governments are trying to make you believe, you know, it may change the way things go.
Right. Yeah. What are your thoughts on, you know, I feel like we've been activated from birth.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to know who they want to contact, what our mission is, all of that. And I think even what we're doing now, the speaking out, the book that you wrote, all of that is part of the plan, the bigger picture of ascension and disclosure. So how does that feel to you, Nancy?
Yeah, they could very well be a part of it. You know, we have a bunch of people now they started messing with them when they were children, and now they're grown-ups, and now they can talk and write books and tell what they believe, and what they've experienced. And definitely, I mean, look at the difference in how the newspapers and treat the subject compared to even 2 years ago. It's a mainstream subject now, and everybody's not laughing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I don't know where that's going to go, but that's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting to see the people who would have been up there with an alien mask and laughing at us. Now are trying to, you know, be in the inner circle. And
Right. They're trying to wrap their heads around, maybe there is something to this.
yeah,
And I find it ironic that the movie Disclosure Day came out the same day that war.gov released the third set of files.
that is a weird coincidence. Yeah.
Was it planned? Probably.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
I haven't seen the movie. Have you seen it?
Haven't you?
Yeah.
We were both very triggered as experiencers. You know, I try to warn people there are triggers, and you won't even know what's hitting you, and all of a sudden you're sobbing.
Yeah, that's what happened to me in experiencers. There's a situation where there's something in this girl's closet, and she's describing it, and I feel like it's the same thing I saw in the stairwell in the house that I told you about, where they tried to open the door, something tried to open the door, and that was just out of the blue. Suddenly I was like really upset, and I wasn't expecting that. So I haven't watched Disclosure yet, because I haven't been able to bring myself to do it.
Yeah. Do it with somebody. Don't go alone.
Yeah, I have to find somebody who's sympathetic to the situation to watch it with.
Yeah.
So can you mention your book, what the title and what it's about?
It's called Visitors from the Phenomenon, A Lifetime of Experience with Non-Human Intelligence. And it's just, I don't give any opinions or guesses about what it is. It's just a story of what happened to me, and that I'm very confused about it. I don't know what it is, but it's something. It means something. It's important, but I just don't know how. I feel like the information's in here someplace, but I can't access it.
Not yet, anyway, right?
Yeah, not yet. And I hope that people aren't disappointed when they read it. It's not written like an exciting story because I didn't want to write it that way. I didn't want to sensationalize the stuff. I kind of hate it when people do that. And I'd rather just hear the unvarnished truth
Right.
and think for myself.
Right.
And I swear every week my opinions about things to do with it change. I get new information or I just have an epiphany or I remember something and nobody tells you that once you get regressed that for a long time afterwards things will just suddenly pop into your head and you'll go, where the heck did that come from? I remember that. And it's not just memories about them. It's also memories about some other things in my life that I had, I guess, blocked out. And they just, oh my God, I didn't even, how could you, I still can't quite fathom how that stuff can be in there somewhere. And I don't know it. And then suddenly I'm saying it.
Right.
Every time I was regressed and I listened to the recording afterwards, it was like listening to some other person talk, and it was, oh my God, I didn't say that. Did I say that? I don't remember that. All the way through, I'm just like gobsmacked.
So, do you feel like you're getting clarity through this, or are you just opening up more rabbit holes and just more questions and more, that? I mean, are you getting some kind of more clarity and answers out of this than you are?
I have
more confusion?
more solid beliefs about things. I don't know anything, but I really believe that at least a large portion of, how do I put this? Of the truly just the really bizarre things that happen to experiencers that just defy explanation, like the smoking dog leaning against the tree, or those things that have happened to people that maybe they don't actually happen in the physical realm the way we think they do, but it's happening in some other realm and we're seeing it. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not a scientist or
That makes sense. Yeah, perfect sense.
and that's why those crazy things can happen, because they're not happening in the reality we understand with the laws we understand. What's not in the book, and I just thought of it when I was talking, was there was a day when my daughter and I went to, I think we went to over by Detroit someplace. And on the way back, we went through Bath, Michigan, and we got lost on some back roads, and we ended up on this little twisting road that went through a swampy area, but there were houses. And on that road, we came up behind a person walking a dog. And when we had a weird feeling already. You know how sometimes something's going on and you just have a Oz feeling. It's like there is just something odd going on today. That's what this was like. And I looked back at this person walking this dog, and they had the face of a dog. The person walking the dog had the face of a dog.
Oh.
And, I just can't explain that kind of thing. It sounds like mental illness or something, but I saw it. And I don't know what it means, but I feel like I was meant to see it for a reason. That it, I don't know what.
Can I ask you, do you know that if that face looked like the dog that it was walking?
No.
Okay.
It was a husky. The dog walking was a husky. The face on the person when I looked back, because they had a hoodie on coming from behind, was like Dog Man.
Oh wow!
Like what you usually see as Dog Man or
Wolf,
a black German Shepherd or wolf, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And another odd thing about it was I remember looking at it and not freaking out, just going, "Wow, that's weird." Which is
I just saw Dog Man. All kind of
Yeah.
dots. Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. And I notice frequently when those really weird things happen, you slip into that super relaxed state and just go, huh, well, there's an alien over here standing beside me and he's looking at the side of my head with a light. I wonder what he's doing. And I don't react at the time.
Right.
Right. So, do you think, Nancy, that possibly, like we talked earlier about abilities, do you have abilities before contact or contact before abilities? But it seems like many, many experiencers do have this weird, they just see things that maybe are kind of hidden in our reality. So in a way, they're seeing a different reality, right?
Yeah.
But maybe
The,
it's the glasses are taken off. You can see truth in this reality.
yeah, I think that's kind of it. I think that once certain things happen to people, a near-death experience, a horrible shock to their system, something that just challenges everything that they believe is reality, that kind of just really strong event seems to trigger them to become more sensitive. Kind of like the wounded healer theory, that people who
Right.
have been badly wounded become capable of being shamans and healers. Um, but I don't ever remember a time when I didn't have things happen to me. I mean, the earliest thing I remember, and I didn't count it because it wasn't about UFOs per se, but I was probably 3 the first time I remember having something really strange happen. And we lived on this farm, and I got into a pen with the cows when nobody was watching because they looked nice. And I was way out in the field. Well, it seemed way out to me at 3, so it was probably 20 feet. But and I see my dad scream, and I look, and he's like, "Run!" And I look back, and a bull is coming running at me. And I looked at the fence, and it's like I had climbed over the fence. There was no way I was getting back over that fence as a 3-year-old before that thing got there. And I saw exactly where to go. It glowed. And at a run, I hit this spot and slid under the fence. My dad grabbed me, and he said, "How did you know where to go?" And I said, "The voice told me. The voice told me where to go." And I don't know what that was. I don't.
Well, that sounds like
That's awesome.
you had your guys looking out for you.
I feel like that
Or
has always
someone.
been the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was not watched closely as a child and had not a rough upbringing. So if I hadn't had somebody watching out for me, probably terrible things would have happened. But there always seemed to be a voice that told me when to go, when to move, when to run, when to not be in a place. And for the most part, kept me out of trouble.
I don't know how
Thank
you guys
goodness.
feel, but I feel part of our ascension is going to be we're going to be looking out for other people too. I mean, we're going to be guides, and we work our way up.
My daughter, who's a teacher, believes that, and from what she remembers and what she was told, and that's her purpose is to help other people in the case of some event that we don't know what it is.
Right.
She thinks that her job is to keep people calm and train them when something happens.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that there's going to be a widespread panic like some people keep saying if it comes out that if a UFO landed and aliens walked out. I think people are just going to go, okay, we expected that. And there's a few uber religious people who are going to get bent out of shape, but
Mhm.
I think everybody's
I just hope people start pick up their guns and start firing because they aren't going to do any good for the first.
right. And there's always those people. That's
And,
I mean,
but it's going to happen, and you know what? If you're ready, you're ready. If you're not, I'm sorry.
So Nancy, I want to circle back to Nancy's book real quick because when I started reading it, like I was caught immediately. So I just have to read. Do I have permission to read like the first paragraph out of your introduction? Only because I want you to hear how well worded it is, just in case anybody was wondering how good it is. Okay. Why have the children in my family been taken for generations? What was and is being done to the children physically and mentally? And why are biological samples taken? Why are they subjected to terrifying visions of the future? And how is this changing our children? And is it even for the better? As an experiencer since childhood, I'm curious. And as a parent and a grandparent, I'm angry, saddened, and terrified. There are so many unknowns. That is your first paragraph. And I thought that like sucked me in immediately. Very well written. So don't doubt what you wrote at all.
Thank you. I think that was the worst thing is when I began to suspect something was truly going on and it was going to affect my kids. And then I felt like it was my fault. Like, I don't know how I could have changed it, but I still felt that way. And, yeah, it was pretty scary, as a lot of people know. When you realize that something's really happening to you, your first thought is, what's happening to my kids?
Right.
And as it turned out, a lot more than I ever knew, because they did just like I did and sort of didn't think about it or put it together or talk about it until decades later. I mean, my daughter was grown up and married with children before she told me about the boy who would take her up in the attic and have her play with the light and manipulate it, and he would teach her, and that she really liked him. And I'm like, because when she first said some teenage boy was coming and taking me up in the attic, I'm like, what? You know, what are you talking about? And that did not sound good, but no, whatever it was. And I think she felt a familiar feeling to him. I meant put that wrong. Familial, as if he were related to her. And I think there was more than one incident where she felt like she had some sort of relation to something that she interacted with.
You know, I think each generation comes in with more information because you know, in our generation we were allowed a lot more how do I put this, a lot more lenience to say things certain among ourselves. Our parents not so much, and our grandparents no. So and now the generations coming in now, it's like it's no big deal. This is what's going on. So
right, and I think they're not as afraid.
Right.
They're going to interact more. Maybe they'll interact more, remember more, be less traumatized.
Right.
Mhm.
And I think that's by design. I mean, I think they're coming in by design with more information to get it out there.
Like maybe it's all part of the ascension.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Mary. How many have you had? A lot of people remember mantids.
It's been crazy with Mantis. Like what, Deb? Like for the last month and a half, 2 months, Deb's probably heard me say to her, I can't believe how right you've been about Mantis this whole time. And she's like, in your face, I told you.
I did not say that.
And how are people perceiving them?
With lots of love and lots of light.
Yeah. And clothed. They
And
have a
clothing.
Yeah.
But they seem to have that unknown to us wisdom and
Right. To me,
spirituality.
even though they're big ugly bugs, they feel nice. They feel nicer than the grays. And
do.
Always rainbows. Always rainbows, like colors.
really,
Yep.
I remember one once at my feet, and I know it was a female. And I went, and for some reason, the word mama popped into my head. So whenever I think of her, I think mama, because that was the kind of feeling she gave me, like a mother. And, maybe she was shining me on and wanted me to think that, but I really liked her. Where I don't think I've ever really liked one of the Greys. I've been willing to tolerate them, and I feel kind of sorry for the little ones, but I don't particularly like them.
Right. Well, it seems like, in all the regressions we've done and in personal experience and stuff, the Greys have been more the workers. The Greys have been the ones that they send to make contact and all of that. The Mantis beings, although they've been around for quite a while, it was 2016 when I had my first vision of them. It seems like now they're coming forward more. Like they were afraid to get us so afraid that we wouldn't deal with them or something. And now they're stepping forward to more and more people and showing who they truly are and saying, okay, it's time.
I wonder if they created the Greys to make something they thought would be less scary. Maybe the fact that they're so, the reason they bother me is they're so, how do I put this? They feel wrong. Imagine that you were talking to a human that was really an android, but you didn't know it. You thought they were a human, but you have this feeling like there's something wrong with this person. So
Almost every day.
yes, just go out in public and you'll have that experience.
Yeah.
So Nancy, earlier you had mentioned the one time where you were in your car and they chased you. Was that the time when you had a missing time?
Yes. Yep.
You want to share that experience?
That was cool.
I was working at night at the GM factory in Lansing, and I lived about an hour away up north from there. And on the way home from work, I had to drive through most of my drive was on secondary blacktop roads in the middle of the sticks, through small towns and farmland. And so I'm on this long stretch of a road called Forest Hill Road, which had a reputation. And I think it was probably maybe 2:00 in the morning, or should have been anyway. And I see this light, this cone of light, just poop down into this field to the right of me. And I thought, well, that must be a helicopter. And then it was over here, and then it was over here. And I thought, they must be searching for something. And I wonder what they're searching for. And for some reason, I slowed down and stopped my car and rolled my window down and listened, thinking I was going to hear people talking or something going on. I don't know why. That was a really stupid thing to do. And suddenly, I got scared. I suddenly felt like something was wrong and I needed to go. So I stepped on the gas and I took off, and I saw what looked like headlights coming up behind my car, but they lifted up and went over my car. I guess it was just one light, because I was thinking that's a car with a headlight out. Then this light circled my car, shining into my car while I was speeding down the road. I know at one time I looked at the speedometer and I was going 80, and I was thinking I'm going to wreck this car if a deer runs out. And what I consciously remembered was that I was just headed for this light at the end of this road where there was a T, and you would turn left and go into a little town. And I got there okay, and I got into the little town, and then I thought, I don't want to go back out in the country again on the other side. So I sat still in, this town. Everything's closed up and it's the middle of the night. And I just was too creeped out. I couldn't sit there. I kept expecting something to come up and knock on the window or something like that. So I went out the other side and I finished my trip home. And when I got home, my mom was either getting up for work or coming home from the midnight shift. I can't remember which, because she didn't always work the same shift. But it was starting to get light and she was awake, which I didn't even think about at the time was completely wrong. I should have been home way before she was awake, either way. but I didn't put it together until years later. She said, "You do realize that when you came home and you were telling me about being chased by this light, that you were hours late." So Mary regressed me, and in this regression, they lifted my whole car up. And I remember laying across the bench seat, those big old clunky cars they used to have that were so big you could stretch out on the seat. And I'm laying across the seat and watching these little pebbles and a flashlight and some things that were on the passenger side floor float up. And I'm just thinking, wow, that's neat. and and then I went up through this opening and the whole car, I guess I don't remember going into the ship and getting out of my car, but the whole car was lifted up.
Yeah.
And then I remember being in the ship, though. I remember man moaning, covered up. And that upset me because I didn't know if he was in pain. And I'm not real clear on what happened in there. But I was just, how the heck did they pick up a car that's moving and then put you back down again, moving, and you'd never know they did it?
Very easily. Trust me.
Yeah, they seem to do it all the time.
Yeah, it's terrifying to think, at any moment somebody might be driving down the road who just got sat down and don't know what they're doing.
Right.
Um,
Kind of like what happened to you. Yeah.
Right. Where they set you in a place other than
Yeah.
where they picked you up.
oh yeah? Where
Yeah.
where did they put you?
Well, my last one, which I call the big experience that made me realize everything else that happened in my life, what it was, that one happened like 1.5 miles, 2 miles from my home. And then I was in my driveway. So I was picked up in one spot, brought back an hour and 9 minutes later in my driveway. Another time, I was just driving, heading north, and all of a sudden I was in a town south of me, sitting in a parking lot that's about an hour away from where I was leaving, but I had been gone for 2 hours.
Oh,
So,
gee whiz.
yeah.
Do you
So,
remember
yeah,
anything
those
about
things-
what happened?
No.
Oh.
That one, the second one, the big one, I do have some memory of. Shut up.
Mary,
Um,
gotta get under.
I do have some memory of the big one that made me realize all these other things wasn't me being totally insane and losing time because I'm insane. I was taken. So
I remember my aha, this is real moment. I think it was when I saw the silver ball in my backyard and there just was no excuse for that thing. And I thought, oh, that's real. It's broad daylight and this is really going on. Except I still thought maybe what was going on was I was crazy.
Right.
But
yeah, the human brain tries to explain it away for sure.
Oh, yeah. I still catch myself trying to explain away things that happened and saying, who knows? It was stress or I don't know. There's a million things that you try to convince yourself of. I still vacillate between none of this really happened and it all happened. And I don't necessarily blame people if they don't believe me. There are days I don't believe me.
Right. I get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So here's a question. You had mentioned earlier about your daughter talking about experiences that she's had. Have you ever had any experiences with your children?
Yes. I've had experiences where something was going on and we were all there, but we weren't necessarily doing something all together. I had an experience where I came home one time, and funny enough, I'll get back to that, but I came home with my kids when they were little, and during this time period, I was having this problem where I kept coming home and finding my door open, and I changed the locks twice, but it didn't make any difference. I still kept coming home and finding my door open. And I just lived in a little bitty burg, not like some high crime area where people know how to pick locks or something. And nothing was ever gone until one time basket of my kids' clothes came up missing, which really upset me because I thought that it was, some weird predator or something. And so this was going on with the door being unlocked that I couldn't explain. And we come home from the store, we come into the house and go down the hall, and the hall had a L shape to it. We go around that corner, and this closet door that's behind me flies open, and I hear tick 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 tick, like little feet running. And that's the same closet that my daughter says that the boy would take her into, and they would go up into the attic. So we were all together when that happened, and I'm real sure that it wasn't like a little kid or something. It was a very small house. It took like seconds for me to come back around there and look from there to both the back and the front door, and there was nobody I could see anywhere. And so we were all together when that happened. We were all together the night that the light went by our house. Something fell on the roof, and then helicopters came, and my daughters and I were both all home. My husband was at work, and so we all saw the light go by the house. The funny thing is, not everybody remembers the helicopters in the front yard, and it's usually my youngest daughter who doesn't remember things, and I think she doesn't want to remember them. So we were all together then. We were all together in the car when we saw the plane hovering in a field that started out as a kite and then became a plane. And then my daughter says that sometime soon after that, military people came to the door and talked to me, but I don't have any memory of it.
Wow.
So I'm going to reverse this. What about your parents? Your parents have ever had any experiences?
My dad never told me that he did, other than we both saw the Kecksburg UFO go over.
Oh, yeah.
But my mom did.
Okay, your mom did, yeah.
Yeah, my mom did, and my dad's father, who lived in Canada, told us one time that he saw a cigar-shaped UFO that hovered over where he lived in Saskatchewan for hours.
Yeah.
And that would have been like at the turn of the century. So it's not recorded any place that I could find. I tried to find if there was anything about it, and I couldn't. But so he saw something. My mom had instances. My mom had instance of seeing a giant green glowing orb going down the Grand River when she lived there as a kid in Lansing. And also she had an owl that kept coming to the window, big white owl. And I'm trying to think. There was something else that happened. Oh, when she lived out in the country, and this big white ball came down and hovered over their Mercury light. So she had things happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
my brother did.
It runs in the family, so that's what I was trying to get at.
Yep. It seems like they're interested in something. I also have like a first cousin who was a remote viewer, and he was in the Army in the 60s, and he had a bunch of stuff happen to him. I'm sure there's probably other relatives who have stuff that they won't tell me because they don't want me talking about.
Yeah.
Right. And some people really, like your daughter, don't remember.
Right.
Either
Yeah.
they don't allow, their subconscious doesn't allow them to remember, or their memory
Until
was
later on.
taken.
Or until they're regressed by Mary.
Yeah. The older one was regressed. The younger one was like, nope, I don't want to know, and I'm fine.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Yeah. Is that
Um,
uncommon though? I don't know.
No,
No?
no, not from what I've seen. It's a lot easier to live with if you pretend it's not going on.
Right.
You know, I
Yeah.
mean, like how many people I've met that tell me they don't have any experiences, they think it's weird, and then after you know them for a while, one day they say, you know, except for this one day, this thing happened, and then there was this other thing, and then pretty soon you realize there are a lot of people out there that are having the same thing happen, but they're just not accepting delivery of the information.
Right.
They're still blowing it off for something
Yeah.
else.
Hmm.
I
Or
was
just
astounded when I started to make a list for myself because my daughter wanted me to write it down, and that's how the book idea started. And so I wrote down this list and I kept thinking, but oh, and there was this thing, oh, and there was this thing. And I was like, if you'd asked me before I did that, I said, oh, there was maybe 3 things. And then it turned out, no, it was just like constant my whole life.
Apparently,
Here
a
in my
whole
house,
book.
I went downstairs here in my house one time to I think it was before we put in an upstairs bathroom, so I probably went downstairs to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. And I go down and I go through the house, and big old Victorian houses are a pain. And I come back and I'm coming through the dining room facing into the living room, and there's a man in a fedora sitting with his legs crossed on my couch smoking a cigarette. And scared me to death. And I just went up and went to bed. But I still look for it every time I'm down there at night. It really bugged me.
Wow.
probably Men in Black, right? I would say.
That's what it looked like. It looked like
Yep.
what they call the Man in Black.
Yep.
And
I was
other
going to
than-
ask you if you've had any experiences with those. So apparently, yes. Wow.
well, that and my brother and I had adjoining property out in the country when my kids were growing up, and there was a stretch of road where a lot of things happened, and the kids called it the creepy road, and it was a 1 mile stretch that didn't have any houses on it, and it was swamp on both sides, so nobody could build on it. And they and their friends like to walk down it and scare themselves when they were teenagers and stuff. Well, my brother told me that he was coming home one day. This was in the middle of the day, and he turns onto that road, and there was a little 4-door sedan parked, and I think he said 3 guys wearing suits, and they had a suitcase, like it was like a quilted silver suitcase open on the trunk of the car, and they had put this little antenna up, and they were turning dials and doing something. And he's slow, out there in the country, everybody stops and asks, what are you doing? When they see somebody strange around. So he slows down to talk to them, and they all jump in the car and throw their suitcase in and take off. And then not too long after that, it happened to him again. He saw them again on another section of the road doing the same thing. And so I guess, that's what it sounds like he experienced, these people. They were doing something very strange and acting very weird. And this was probably 1985. And there was also a time on that same stretch of road where I saw a van, and a guy was in the back of it messing around with something, and I slowed down to ask him if he needed help or what he was doing, and he threw everything in his van and took off. And the van had this logo on it, and God, I wish I could remember what it was, because we had just got internet. It was really primitive, and I went home and I looked it up, and it opened on this site that said that I was on a government site that had to do with robotic human integration, and that if I went any farther, they were going to prosecute me.
Ooh.
So I went, whoa, I don't know what this is. And then promptly forgot about it, but I wish I could remember now. Because
Probably the place that made your robot that visited you all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. But I just stick it in the pot of weird. So
The pot of weird. I like that.
yeah. We had somebody backed up and hit a transformer by our house, and it caught on fire. And when the people came to fix it, they came and knocked on the door, and they said, do you know what this electrical line over here is? And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And they showed me and they said, well, there's an electrical line here and it goes into the ground and there's a meter on it and something is using the power, but we're out in the middle of nowhere and there's nothing here. And I said, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Something underground, I guess.
Or someone.
Yep. I mean, there was nothing there but farmland. I don't know what it could have been going to.
Mhm.
We just had some voices come through there. Did you hear it?
Yeah.
I didn't hear it. No.
Yeah, in the background. Yeah,
Oh.
Interesting.
it's normal for our show, Nancy.
Oh,
so
yeah?
Yeah.
My
Morse-
daughter just
Morse code too. We get a lot of Morse code.
my daughter
Yeah.
just sent me something showing how you can ask the CIA if they have a file on you.
Ah,
And I thought, I'm going to do that. I'm going to see if they have a file on me for some reason.
Oh, wow.
well, I'm sure they do us.
Yeah, I've had a lot of really strange things happen. We got followed by black helicopters for years after I first told people about what was going on, and that was in the 80s. And we had strange military planes over our house all the time. Our phone was always acting like it was making weird noises, like if it was tapped or something. And so I'm pretty sure I'm on somebody's watch list for something.
Yeah, we just had Lee said, yeah, I heard it.
Yeah. and Hi to all the listeners, and thank you for being here
Yeah.
with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That's what an
Yeah.
incredible story.
yeah.
I know.
And there's so much more.
There is.
There's so much more.
I vote
Probably
we
get
do this
hypnotized and find some more.
Okay,
There are
come on.
still things I haven't explored. The incident in the park with the guy who looked like a Middle Eastern man. Oh, it's the long story. But anyways, I would like to know more about that.
Well, come on over. You know where I live.
I might do that.
Yeah,
Thank-
we've played
Thank you
several.
so much for sharing. 'Cause I know it is a sensitive subject when it comes to your kids and your grandkids. So I feel bad for asking those questions, but I appreciate it so much that you shared, because I really think that information is going to trigger some things for other people to hopefully help them.
Yeah, I hope somebody gets back to me and says, you know, I had that same thing happen. That's always a double-edged sword when they do. It's like, oh crap, it's real, and oh yay, it's not me.
Yeah.
But well, thanks for talking to me.
Well,
Thank
thanks
you,
for
Nancy.
talking to us. We appreciate
It's
it.
been great.
I'll see you in September up north.
Yeah.
We'll be there.
See you at Michigan UFO Contact.
Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Okay. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Love you all.